Another day, another story. The warm spring sun was shining through the window. It was getting hot in the room where Andrew was playing with his toys. Mom came in and opened the window sash. A pleasant whiff of fresh spring air. Now you could hear the birds chirping merrily in the trees, and the sound of drops ringing outside the window. "Andrusha," said Mom, "please go to the store, we need to buy bread and loaf." Andrusha was almost 6 years old. He could tie his own shoelaces and button his own jacket, and he considered himself a grown-up. From the age of 5, the boy had been going to the store by himself, buying bread, milk, and sometimes even ice cream when his mother allowed him to do so. "Now, Mommy," answered Andrew and put his games aside. He quickly got dressed and, getting his money and netting, headed for the door. "Andrew," his mother stopped him. The boy looked back and questioningly looked at his mother. "It's very wet outside," said his mother, "and a lot of water. Promise that you will not walk in puddles." "All right, I won't," answered the son, and went out. How nice it was outside. The snow had not all melted, and in some places near the trees lay in blackened drifts. The whole yard was on the move. The boys were squatting in a huge puddle and making paper boats. The rooks were roaring deafeningly, and an old stray cat was lazily basking in the sun. And the puddles. How glistening they were, and they beckoned to him. Andrew stopped near one, stood, looked, and resolutely strode into the store. The store was in the courtyard. People bought their groceries here, paying at the cash register. "One bread and a loaf, please," Andrusha asked loudly in a ringing voice. The cashier, wearing big glasses, said the price, and the cash register rattled loudly, giving out a check. "Oh, what a boy," said the old grandmother in line, "not so tall, and already he goes to the store by himself." The boy put his purchases in a net and walked out of the store. He walked, stopping now and then at one puddle and then another. And each of them beckoned the boy, sparkling with the reflection of the sun's rays. "Never mind," thought Andrew, "after all, nothing will happen if I walk through one. I'm wearing boots and I won't get wet, my mother won't know anything." The next puddle on the path was a big one, and he stepped into the water. Taking one step at a time, the boy enjoyed the splash of the water. He was halfway there when suddenly his foot stepped on the unmelted ice and slipped. Andrew flailed his arms, trying to keep his balance, and fell into the water. The puddle was not deep, but it was not so pleasant to sit in it. And the bread. Andrew stood up, water dripping off him in rivulets, and the bread and loaf were wet. "How will I go home now?" thought the boy. "What will I tell my mother, and what will my mother say?" He walked slowly up the steps, leaving wet footprints behind him. His mother opened the door, but for some reason she was not surprised to see her son stream around the water. She had seen through the window as Andrew stood by the puddle, she had seen him slapping the water with gusto as he fell. And now she looked at her son and was silent. "Mama," sobbed Andrew, "forgive me, I will not walk in puddles anymore." "Walking in puddles is not a sin," answered the mother, "but disobedience entails punishment. Sometimes parents punish disobedience, and sometimes God punishes it. Learn from this, son."